Tyson Fury and pretty much his entire team have been saying that they think the Anthony Joshua fight is an easy one for years. And a couple months ago, I saw an interview with his cousin and co-trainer Andy Lee, where he said that he thinks Fury will take AJ out in about 7 rounds, something like that. Well, AJ's now, I guess, responded. Obviously, it's a long time after Andy Lee said what he said, but there's a lot of back and forth between Team Fury and AJ. AJ's now come out and said that he thinks he'll take Tyson Fury out in about 6. So to quote him here directly, he said, quote, "First 6 rounds, I think, well, I know I'm going to take him out then. I have had a shorter career, so I'm fresher. I've been in the deep end longer, so I can handle the pressure, and I believe I'm going to take him out. Fury drew the first and then rejigged his game plan and took Wilder out and schooled him really, but I think I'm faster than Wilder anyway. Call it what you want. I believe I'm better," end quote. Those are the words of Anthony Joshua. What do I think about this fight? Look, it's heavyweight boxing, and you can expect the unexpected, particularly in an era like this. But if I was pushed to give you a prediction on how I think the first fight between them would play out, I think it would be a nip and tuck, cagey affair, to be honest with you. I say cagey because I think that Anthony Joshua will seek to impose himself on Tyson Fury in spots, but I also think that Anthony Joshua will give Tyson Fury more trouble from a boxing perspective than anybody else has, other than maybe Steve Cunningham. I think that Anthony Joshua has the size, the reach, and the foot speed and hand speed and coordination to be able to box with Fury at range. I know Fury's got longer arms and he's more slippery and tricky, but I just feel like AJ's foot speed is perhaps being underestimated here. Yeah, he's not the stylist that Tyson Fury is, but for a big man, he covers the ground real quick and he stays on balance. And he's a much better counterpuncher than somebody like Deontay Wilder. So I think that those attributes will become apparent to Tyson Fury quite early on in the fight. He might get hit with something and stung, and then he'll realize, you know what? I can't really play with this guy. I have to take him seriously. And at that moment, Fury, yeah, he might get stuck in and try to take AJ into the trenches. That's a possibility. Tyson Fury is somebody who is all in. When he decides that he's going to use a particular tactic, he doesn't mess around with it. He takes it all the way. So if he's going to get physical with Anthony Joshua, then he's going to go all in. But again, if I was pushed, I would say the early rounds, maybe up to the mid rounds, it's quite cagey. The longer it goes, the more opportunities there's going to be for both fighters. But to be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if Bernard Hopkins' prediction for the fight, that it would be a draw the first time. I wouldn't be surprised if something like that actually happened between AJ and Fury. Again, I could be totally wrong. All right. Tyson Fury could go in there and absolutely batter AJ from pillar to post and stop him in a round. I think that's what Tyson Fury said recently, right? He's going to stop AJ in a round. I've seen enough in heavyweight boxing to know that crazy stuff like that is possible. So I wouldn't dismiss that entirely, but I just feel like the likelihood is there's going to be some mutual respect between them in the early rounds, even if AJ has to earn that mutual respect, and that it's going to be a competitive fight. And I think it will turn out to be one of, if not the toughest fight of Tyson Fury's career. I know Tyson Fury says the toughest fight of his career was Steve Cunningham, and Steve Cunningham put him on the floor. I don't know if AJ will put Fury on the floor. He's definitely got the power to do it, but I don't know, maybe early on AJ stings him with something or catches him with a quick counter, and Fury's like, okay, it's not going to be that easy against this guy. Maybe Fury will revert to the old, I say old, it was only a couple fights ago, the Tyson Fury that we saw under Ben Davison and under his former coach and uncle, Peter Fury, where he was more defensive and moving around slippery, all that kind of stuff. If he tries to fight AJ the way he did Wilder, first couple rounds, maybe gets stung, then goes back to the old Tyson Fury being slippery. So that's the way I see it. Could be wrong. the main thing is, and what we should all be pushing for, is for the fight to happen. AJ says he's going to take Tyson Fury out in 6. Tyson Fury says he's going to take AJ out in 1, Hopefully, what Frank Warren is saying about Team AJ not really wanting to fight is untrue. Because he says that AJ might want to fight, or he'd like to think that AJ wants to fight, but he doesn't think that Eddie and Barry Hearn want it. And he thinks they're going to do whatever they can to block it. And I did see the recent interview where Frank Warren went off on a particular interviewer for talking about the possibility of Usyk potentially blocking the undisputed fight between AJ and Fury. You know, this goes back to what I said a couple months ago. I don't know for certain what is in the minds of the Hearns and Anthony Joshua, but under the current circumstances where the economy has taken a massive hit and, you know, boxing, of course, is taking that hit too, you have to capitalize sooner rather than later, because the disposable income of many people around the world is going to be, you know, dramatically reduced in many cases. So the longer you leave this fight, potentially the earnings, the revenue for it could go down. Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen at the end of the day when it comes to the economy. And on top of that, as I've said previously, AJ's vulnerable. We already saw him get battered all over the ring by Andy Ruiz last year. Who's to say that somebody else wouldn't be able to do it? Somebody outside of the Eddie Hearn stable. I mean, he's got this fight with Pulev coming up. Usyk, of course, is an in-house fight, but he's going to have other fights, other defenses that won't be in-house. You know, do they really want to keep on fighting these mandatories, some of them who are not in-house mandatories, and risk losing to somebody in a far less lucrative fight? Or do they want to go ahead and take on Tyson Fury? I personally think that Eddie Hearn and Barry Hearn and probably AJ himself are more confident of beating Tyson Fury than they were of beating Deontay Wilder. I just think it was not only their perception, but also the fact that styles make fights. And I think they always saw Fury's style as a more favorable style for them. So anyway, just my thoughts on this. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. It's happening, I'm out. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.